So I finally got a few games in using the new BT23 Necromon cards, and so I wanted to showcase a couple matches at locals. So this first video is gonna be with me versus what's the deck? Examon, and I'm only gonna do one game out of the match. There's no reason for us to sit here and watch 45 minutes of the same stuff over and over again. This is just kind of like how the deck plays in the certain matchup. And this is a pretty good example of that. There will be some kind of misplays and sequencing errors towards the end, but it really doesn't affect the game overall as far as the result, just because of how late we are in the end game and how you'll see. So starting off, my opponent just digivolves up into his level 4, putting me at 2, and I go ahead and digivolve to Ghostmon in the back. This is a new Ghostmon that makes a blocker. Then we'll play the Searcher Ghostmon to get out a Phantomon and a Violet. Now it's my opponent's turn. So the problem with the new Examon support is that it's less focused on getting to your level 6s and it's more focused on using your level 5s in their place. But you trade off by not having like these super powerful effects such as end of turn, DNA digivolve, or whatever. But still, pretty big bodies, pretty easy to get out to level 7. My opponent's going to swing raid into my little Ghostmon just so he can get a draw out. And then he's going to go up into his level 5, which is a Groundermon, I believe. In my turn, I'm going to do my training to search out a Bakemon. And then we'll just hard play a Violet, because now that he has a body on board, I know that she will give me 1 memory at the start of my turn. I like to not hard play those Violets if I don't have to, just so that way I can save on resources. But if I know I'm going to get a free memory off of it, I will start playing them. My opponent uses an option, and I'll kind of put it up what it does. But essentially, it allows him to play body at a reduced cost, and then it allows him to, which I didn't know this when you see how I'm going to play this out, it allows him to DNA digivolve if one of his level 5s would be removed from the field, or one of his materials would be removed from the field, essentially. And so I should have known when I saw him hard play that other level 5 that that's what could happen, but I don't know these things, and so I'm going to go into Bakemon, play out my Violet. I see I have a bunch of memory to work with, so why not? This is going to be totally free. Boy, was I wrong. Go into Phantomon for 3. And then I have the Dualamon in hand, so we're at 2 memory. I don't want to pay the full 6. I actually use the Wisdom Training to digivolve into Dualamon for 4. Bring my opponent at 2. So Dula is going to try to pop his stack with the level 5, which will trigger the option, allowing him to DNA digivolve. And the new Examon, I'll put it up here, it starts suspending stuff, and it does some really cool things, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't bottom deck stuff. So this matchup isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Once I saw the Examon, I assumed that this was going to the bottom of the deck. I was going to have to restart. I didn't have any resources. I was going to lose this game entirely. But then when I saw what it actually does, it wasn't that bad. Brings its security for 3 checks. It's a Necro, and then a unique emblem. So the emblem will play out the Ghostmon. Ghostmon will get us a search. And I'm pretty sure hitting the emblem activates the main effect. I'll put it up here as well. Just these kind of new cards so everyone knows what they do. Otherwise, this older stuff, we should kind of all know what it does. If it doesn't put it in the field, well, then I was screwed. We forgot that there was some other effects for this Examon, so now we're going to spend a few seconds trying to resolve these properly, because then he trashes my emblem, spends my tamers, but we should have done this in a different way. So we're going to go back. He's going to kind of reread the cards. Essentially, when the Examon checks the first security is when he'll get that ability. So my Ghostmon's still unsuspended because that happened. Also, when you digivolve onto the Examon, suspends everything as well. So my Violet should have been suspended from the get-go. When he hits the first check, then that's when he would have popped something, so he chooses to pop a Violet instead, and my emblem is safe. Otherwise, the Examon can pop options that are on the field, so that's pretty important to know now. He's going to swing with the 2 smaller bodies, and this is where this sequencing starts kind of messing up. So he swings with the smaller body, unless it has jamming and I just don't know it. It hits a Bakemon, but we don't delete it. I'd be lying if I told you I knew what that egg does. And then this is kind of my setup for the field, and this has everything that I need. There is going to be a scenario here where none of my Digimon will be able to unsuspend during the unsuspend phase. I don't think my Tamers are supposed to be able to either. We misread that. And then when he goes into the Examon X, he suspends my Ghostmon. So at the start of my turn, I'm going to end up unsuspending it. I shouldn't have been able to do that, but that's, you'll see why that's not really a issue. So he's going to pop my stack. And with the Phantomon, I'll go ahead and play the Bakemon, because I have Chimera in hand, so I kind of know what I want to do here. And then with the Dualahamon, I'm going to play the Necro from Trash. He has pops one of the lower levels, so I end up popping the Baby Dramon. It was going to be deleted anyways due to the check and the security. And then Necro will also play Phantomon. And then the Demimera will get me back the Duela to hand. And so the Violet and the Ghostmon shouldn't have unsuspended. I don't use them to the point where this makes a difference. However, that was just an error on my part. And I'm still going to gain my memory from the Violet. How this is going to work is I'm actually just going to go into Chimera. So on top of the Ghostmon, Digivolve into another Bakemon. Okay, well first I'm thinking to see what I want to do. And then with that, the Bakemon will go ahead and play another Violet. Then we're going to DNA Digivolve. And so then we just tuck in another source, and I'm just going to do a memory gain source. So the Chimeramon gives minus DP to some bodies, and so I choose the Baby Dramon, I believe it's called. So it was going to be deleted anyways. That minus whatever K, I think it's 2K, wouldn't have made a point, or wouldn't have made an effect either way. So we're going to go into Necro, swing for 2 checks, gain our 4 memory back, keeping turn. And then Necro will play a body. And so I'll just play the Bakemon off that. I'll use one of the Violets. Actually, I'm going to think this through just in case I don't want to do that, but I do want to do that. I don't see any situation where I don't. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and just use that Violet. Oh, no, we're not. Oh, yes, we are. And we're going to go into Dualahamon. And so I think it's supposed to go in for a cost of 2. I don't know why I paid 3 instead. I think I thought Violet reduced the cost by reduced the evolution cost by 2, or by 1, not 2. So that's a misplay on my part. But then that plays Ghostmon, gives me a blocker. I'm sorry, it plays a Necromon, which plays a Ghostmon, gives me a blocker. And at this point, my opponent essentially says, "Hey, I have nothing. Let me attempt to play this out, though." But yeah, he just has nothing. So that is this game, and I think I have another game that I'm going to be posting within the next day or two of Ghost versus, what is it? Gamamon. Yeah, that's the deck. Hopefully we also get these cards updated on the simulator so I can get in some games there as well. I'd really like to test this deck against stuff like Huddy Loop and all that. See just how well it does. But thanks for watching.